Hello and welcome back to another episode of It's Okay, Baby Girl. Welcome. I hope you guys are doing well. This week we're going to talk about something that it's kind of a rant for me. Just something I've noticed over the past, 9 months of being a nurse. I've just noticed something since becoming a nurse in both my professional life and my personal life that I would really like to address. And I'm sure I'm not the only nurse that feels this way, okay? But basically, this episode is going to be about boundaries in your personal and professional life. The title of this episode is called Girl First, Nurse Second, okay? And that's for a reason. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Qu'est-ce que je vais te nommer? Je vais te nommer l'amour, l'amour tendre, l'amour qui chante doucement dans mon cœur, l'amour sans logique à la raison.
So since becoming a nurse, I've noticed something. There's a huge issue when it comes to boundaries in the professional world and in your personal life. And if you're a nurse, you probably will understand what I'm talking about here in a second. But let's talk about the professional world first. Clearly, we have a shortage of nurses, and I'm not even going to get into why we have a shortage, but we have a shortage, right? We're always short-staffed at work. We're always drowning with our assignments, and our employers are always asking us to come in, and they offer bonuses, they offer overtime, all these fun things to compensate for you coming in and working extra more than, your full-time hours. So everybody's choices are different, right? Everyone's personal life looks different. If you want to go to work 6 nights in a row, that's on you, And if you need to, you want to, that's your choice. And if you know you can handle it, absolutely good for you. However, some workplaces make it seem like if you don't pick up a shift, you're not a team player. And I have noticed that. And I don't appreciate that. My current job is amazing, obviously. But in the past, I've noticed that from my friends or from my own personal experience, when they say that they're a family, okay, you should run. Because work is work. They're not your family, okay? You guys come together to do a job and to make sure that you take care of the human beings assigned to you, all right? And your job starts when you clock in and your job stops when you clock out. And if you don't want to pick up extra hours and you're not able to or you're not available to, and they make you feel bad for that, that's on them for not being able to properly staff their unit, okay? It is not your fault, and you should not feel guilted or obligated into picking up shifts or being a quote-unquote team player because you're a quote-unquote family, okay? You're not a family. Family doesn't pay each other to show up, okay? Or at least mine doesn't, but you're not a family. You are a work environment, and you are obligated to show up for the hours that you originally agreed to when you started that job and signed your contract, your offer letter. So outside of that, you are not a family, and you are allowed to live as you please. You are not obligated to show up to work and do more than what is necessary. If you choose to, that is on you. But I just want to address that for a second, because you are a girl or boy first. You're not a nurse 24/7, okay? Now I'm about to get into the part that really fucking irks me, okay? And I need everybody to listen up, okay? Including the non-nurse people. This is for you, all right? Just remember this. Girl first, nurse second, all right? Outside of the hospital or whatever environment that I am a nurse in, I am not a nurse outside of that, other than, in emergency situations, okay? But if you have a family member or a friend that just recently became a nurse, and now all of a sudden you think you can come to them with your every medical question and every need, as if they're like your 24-hour hotline, that is not fair to them, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Because being a nurse for those 12 hours or however many hours you work on your shifts is extremely draining. It doesn't matter how cushy the job is. Your patient's life is on the line, even if they are an extremely stable patient, all right? We make lots of critical thinking and judgment and decisions on the fly, and you have to use your medical knowledge and make sure that you're not violating your license, and you make sure you're not hurting anybody, okay? It is a lot of pressure during the time that they're at work, and when we come home, we are exhausted. And for people to come to us with their silly questions, especially the ones who don't want to actually listen to what we have to say when it comes to asking for our advice, that's too much. That's too much. I worked hard for my license, but I am not your WebMD, all right? I just want to make that very clear. And if you're a nurse and you're experiencing this, right, your friends don't mean bad when they do that. They think this is a safe person, a trusted person that I can talk to and present my concerns to. They're coming from a good place, and that means they feel comfortable talking to you about things. That's fine. However, you need to be aware of your personal limits before you start getting pissed off with everybody around you. Because the more that you answer their questions and the more that you're easily available to them, the more they get acquainted with the idea of coming to you all the time for everything. And then that boundary slowly just fades away completely. And then when you pull back, it's really hard for them to get adjusted to a new boundary that you had erased in the first place. So when it comes to family and friends asking medical questions, just remind them, like, hey, this is my day off, okay? I'm not a nurse right now. Or at least if they're going to come to you with questions, have them ask you if you're in the headspace to answer it first. And you can say no, just so you know. Just so you know. And in the case of emergencies, obviously, I am always willing to answer questions. People have called me in the middle of the night being like, this happened, should I go to the ER? And I'll be like, yes. Like, it's a very easy fix, you know? Or obviously in the moment, right? Somebody fell down, got a boo-boo. You clean the boo and put a Band-Aid on it. Boom. Of course, happy and willing to do that. But when certain people in your life think that they can just come to you with every single problem that they're having, even the things that you have no idea about. For example, my background is psychiatry and pediatrics, right? You ask me an ICU level question, I'm going to tell you I don't know. Because I don't know. I have not been trained to that level, so I can't tell you. You ask me about cancer, I don't know because I've never treated a cancer patient myself. All right? You ask me about labor and delivery at the moment, I don't know, other than whatever I learned in nursing school. Okay? Not everything I can answer because every nurse is different. Their specialty, their knowledge, their skill set is different. That's what makes us all unique and valuable, but also it just means that we are limited in what we can do for other people, you know? You're not going to ask an ER nurse to start 10 drips. You know what I mean? Like, that's just stupid because they don't know how to do that. They are stabilize and transfer type people, not continual care type people. Okay? So, if that makes sense at all. But just want to say, if you are a person who has a medical person in your life, just know that they're a human being too, and they have their own personal needs, and they don't always want to answer your questions, all right? And if that sounds rude, or if you think you're entitled to it, then, well, you know what? Go find someone who is willing to do that, because you don't need to bother them then. If it is truly an emergency, don't even bother. Just go to the ER, okay? If you have any doubt or concern about your health, don't ask a question. Go find a professional to help you. All right? Not someone who's just going to answer a question over the phone. If it's that serious, you should just seek medical attention right away. In person. All right? Not from your friend who is a licensed professional, okay? On their day off. Leave them alone, please. All right? We do more than enough at work. And if you were to understand the level of short staffing and the pressure that we go through at work with limited resources and staffing available, you would have a little bit more respect than to expect us to deal with your shit too when we come home. Okay? So, with that being said, I just want to say this is not to be like, oh, fuck all of you. This is just to be clear about the boundaries here, all right? Nurses are people too. Doctors are people too. They don't want to answer your fucking questions all the time, all right? And we are also legally not obligated to, because we have a scope of practice and we have our own individual skill set and knowledge. So we don't have the ability to always, you're going to go to your gynecologist to ask about like a cardiac issue. No, you're not. Okay. It doesn't make any sense. So the same way, like all your medical friends out here, they only know so much. We are not God. Okay. And we all know different things. That's why we work together as a team to help each other compensate for the lack of knowledge in certain areas. So just saying. And for the nurse friends out here, okay? Or if you're a doctor, PT, PA, whatever you are, like if you work in the medical field or healthcare or social work too, therapists, you are not obligated to care for the people outside of work, okay? Your job is to do what you do at work when you're clocked in and you're paid to do it. Outside of work, you are not obligated to do that for every single person in your life. And I'm so glad I have learned this from other professionals within my field. I have a friend who is a social worker who has reminded me continually, who has always told me, you do a lot already. You don't need to do more than you already do. And to say no to someone who's asking questions is not wrong, and it's not mean. It's just you protecting yourself, because that's how burnout happens, and that's what happened to me. I was so easily available at work and outside of work. And eventually I got to a point where I was like, screw all of you. I don't care anymore. Okay? I'm too numb to give a shit about your little problems. And that's because I had very poor boundaries, and I let whoever come in and take whatever they want emotionally or mentally out of me, because I just wanted to care and be there for everyone. And now I don't give a fuck. All right, you know what? We're all adults. We deal with our problems, and they're resources for a reason. You need medical attention? Go to the hospital. Don't call me. All right? Do not call me, because I'm a human being and I have a life and I have needs too. So, just saying. Or even like I have therapy questions, I have psych questions, I'll ask my therapist friends. And sometimes they'll be like, listen, man, this is my job. I do this day in, day out. So like, give me some time. I'll get back to you when I feel like I'm ready to get back to you about this question. And that's a perfect way to respond. And I appreciate them for teaching me that, because now I'm able to use the same thing when it comes to other people asking me questions. It's not like we have a problem answering questions. Okay? It's not like we don't like caring for people. If I didn't like caring for people, I would not be a nurse. Excuse me. And the problem is when it is expected of us to show up like that to everybody all the time. It's draining. I need a break. I need a break to just be me, to just be Sneha. I'm not just nurse all the time. I'm also a dancer. I'm also a podcaster. I'm also just a girl. Okay, so let me be that, please. If this is how we're going to treat our medical professionals, like, expect them to be there and show up all the time, even in their personal life, we will not have many left, okay? And I know that this is a very common experience for lots of healthcare workers. I've talked to my mom about it, and she said the same thing. She's like, yeah, people ask me questions all the time. And obviously some things are really urgent, and yes, I like to answer those questions to the best of my knowledge, but I can't always be there all the time. And sometimes you have to take time to get back to a text message, It's okay. But for our healthcare workers, it's important to have professional and personal boundaries to maintain your sanity. You are not there to save people 24/7. You are just a person too. And you have needs too. And you need to address those needs in order to be able to show up in full effect at work and in your personal life when people do actually need it, okay? So this is just a reminder to have good boundaries, and it doesn't have to be harsh again. You can just say, hey, I'm not in the headspace to talk about this right now, but I'll get back to you when I'm ready. Or, just a reminder, I do this all day at work. I'm going to take my time answering this. I'll get back to you in a little bit. That's all it takes. And I just got to say thank you to Farah and Miss Ashley for teaching me these skills, because it really helps when I vent to them or I ask them questions. They respond in the same way. And it's helped me kind of address my own issues within whatever, if I've run into issues at work or in my personal life. So thank you to you lovely, lovely chicas for teaching me that I don't have to always be in nurse mode all the time. That I can just be myself. I can take care of my needs first. And I've noticed that when I do put myself first, I am a better nurse. I am a better friend. I am a better sister, daughter, etc., etc. Okay? So if you feel like you're kind of in the same boat, don't feel guilty. Know that it's a very normal feeling if you work in healthcare and you feel kind of overwhelmed by the pressure that everybody puts on you, whether it's at work or, your friends, family asking you questions. They just want to know the answer. They trust you to know things. And that's flattering. That is so sweet. However, I don't think they realize sometimes the pressure that comes with this kind of job. And that sometimes you want to come home and not talk about it. I've even noticed certain people, I hang out with my friends, and if they don't work in the medical field, they'll ask a lot of questions about my job and while they're trying to be sweet and ask and be considerate and show interest in what I do for work, sometimes I do not want to talk about it because it's traumatizing. I work with sick kids. Outside of that, I don't want to think about it because the more I think about it, the more sad I get. Yeah, it is. It is really hard. And they know that and they say that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't want to talk about it. And it's not out of disrespect. It's just because I need a sense of normalcy outside of work. And I want people to understand, like, medical professors. I hate watching Grey's Anatomy. I hate watching any sort of medical show because I don't want to think about work outside of work. Work is enough. We can leave it at work. And we're not trying to be rude when we say I don't want to talk about it. It's just because it's a lot. And if you think that, yeah, oh my God, it's so sad and it takes such a big heart to do what you do. Yeah. So give me a break. Like, let's talk about something normal, please. Like, let's talk about, like, a stupid TV show or, like, I don't know, something funny you saw on the internet. Please. Like, I want to be a person, too. I don't want to just think about work 24/7 or be in nurse mode all the time. I just want to put this out there because I just don't think that some people realize, like, and it's no fault of their own. They just don't know and they don't understand. And we're starting to realize as healthcare workers how much boundaries are necessary in keeping ourselves sane so that we can show up to our job and do it well. So it's a learning process for all of us. I just wanted to say I may sound a little bit angry in this episode because it is frustrating and I have personally experienced it on both ends, personally and professionally. But I also just want to say, like, I want you guys to understand, like, the gravity of this. Like, we need boundaries. It's good for us. It's good for us as professionals. It's good for our friends to know when it's not okay to ask questions or so that they can be better friends to us too, you know, or to just give you some tools if you feel like you're struggling to set those boundaries in an effective way. All right. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Just remember this: girl first, nurse second. All right. This applies to everybody, including other members of the healthcare team, or even if you don't work in healthcare at all. Okay. Whatever field you work in, whether it's accounting, finance, business, engineering, computer science, whatever you do, we obviously need boundaries in our professional world. You know, you can't expect your engineer friends to come fix every like mechanical issue you have either. You know, they deserve to just be a human and you can figure it out on your own sometimes. You know, that's why we hire professionals, because they are paid to show up and do their job for you. All right. Yes, you can ask your friends for favors, but you also have to realize, like, we all need our space to just breathe and be who we are outside of just our profession. Okay. So just keep this in mind. We all deserve to have boundaries and to have limits in terms of like how much is expected of us. So don't be afraid to put your foot down, set some boundaries, and just say, like, listen, man, I'm not up for it right now. And it's fine no matter what you work in. Okay. So remember, girl first, nurse second. I hope this helps. And just remember, it's okay, baby girl. We're all learning together and I'm here for you. And thank you again to Farah and Ashley for teaching me these skills. I have to, you know, pay respect where respect is due. They've taught me a lot about taking care of myself as a nurse and setting boundaries. So just want to pass on this lesson that I've learned to all of you in case you need it. So anyways, with that being said, I must go, but I love you guys and I can't talk. I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Goodbyes.